Well, the point against Tottenham in the week for West Ham was certainly a relief for David Moyes' side, and they felt like they probably should have got a bit more out of that game as well against Tottenham, Karen. They got the win in the game before that at the weekend against Aston Villa. Previous to that, it was 3 straight defeats for David Moyes' side. How much will they be just relishing the fact that they've got that win, they got the draw in the week, and they come into this game against Chelsea in a bit better form?
I think the Europe helped them get the goals, get the confidence back, and I think then the momentum's rolled in. And I think they just started lethargic this season, and I think they just needed that freshness, that bit of energy. That's what I like about, this West Ham side. Every time I see them, they might counter or start deep, but then they've got energy, impetus, and I hadn't seen that in the early part. So it's good to see that back, and you're right, a bit of momentum, bit of confidence now, and some investment as well, freshen up that squad that hasn't really been changed over probably the last 18 months.
Yeah, they're the 3rd highest spenders in this window, Sam. Spending that much money, does it put extra expectation on the team? Is 7th still good enough for West Ham this season?
Yeah, I think so, because it's not like other clubs haven't spent either. Like, OK, they are in that position in the table in terms of spending, but so many clubs have spent money. If you look at Forest will be above them. Obviously, there's Chelsea as well. Forest aren't going to be expected to be above them in the table, but if they look at what Man United spent, talked about City doing really good business, Chelsea has spent again, Liverpool are still strong. Tottenham, I don't know if they're going to think, well, we should be replacing them. The fans will obviously think, well, we've spent this money, so maybe we should be doing better if it gets to that point in the season. But with so many clubs spending a lot of money, it doesn't really set them apart from anyone else, really.
Yeah, one of the players they've brought in, though, is Gianluca Scamacca, a striker. Finally, West Ham have a striker as backup for Antonio, although he's yet to score in the league. In fact, that seems to be West Ham's biggest problem so far, Karen. They've only scored 2 goals and they're opening 5 matches. Is that a worry when you watch them?
It is, but I think they've played with Antonio for so long, and to try and mix that up and it's always been on him, and to mix it and bring Scamacca in, they're going to have to get used to, and that takes time. And like I said, they've had similar. With West Ham, I always used to pretty much know the starting 11, it was consistent. So to add those changes in those relationships, it is going to take time. But I do really like him. I liked him in the Nations League, especially against England. He's just got to get confidence into the side. But other players, Bowen, he's got to step up. I don't think he's been himself this season. So other players need to step up as well.
Well, their opponents, Chelsea, have also got themselves a new striker signed very late on deadline day, Sam. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is back in London. What did you make of that signing?
I'm not sure what they're doing overall. In terms of them having spent so much money, you kind of look at it and you think, did that need doing that? They've got 2 £60 million left backs, which sounds like good rotation, but is one of them going to be happy if they're not playing that much? I don't know. It seems like a strange squad building exercise. In terms of Aubameyang coming back, it's kind of the Chelsea tradition, isn't it? They get these number 9s in on short-term basis. That Samuel Eto'o and Torres didn't work out. They've had so many over the years, like so many that you can't even name them all. They were obviously fairly desperate. They were going to wait until the end of the window because Barca were desperate to get the money in. Aubameyang's worked with Tuchel before. So, yeah, on the face of it, it does make sense. And they did need a spearhead at the front of that attack. But they've just been such a strange team this season.
He's a proven Premier League striker, though, Karen. 68 goals and 128 Premier League appearances. And you imagine that Thomas Tuchel can see him being that focal point in this team. Can you see it working?
I like it. I think it was his other interview when he said he's always his player, and I like that. And straight away, you can see the management between the manager and the player there, and I think that's a big help. And I think you mentioned they're proven. I think the signings that they've made, some people might see it as different, but they've gone for proven Premier Leagues. Aubameyang, Sterling, Fofana, Cucurella, they've all gone for the players that are proven in the Premier League. So I quite like that, and still gone for a young approach as well with a couple of others. So I think Aubameyang's great. He might be a stopgap, but they've tried to go with Lukaku. It hasn't worked. So you might as well go with someone the manager knows, who's proven in the Premier League and actually at a cheap rate. And he's got something to prove, because he probably wants to upset the noisy neighbours that are doing quite well down the road. So I think it's good.
Sam pointed out the investment in the defence, Karen. How is he going to set up with all the players that he's brought in? Because obviously Fofana is a big money deal brought into Chelsea. Koulibaly's also there. And then, of course, you've got Cucurella that's been brought in too. They're 3 of the biggest signings of this transfer window. Does it all work together?
I mean, signings aren't just for now as well. You know, you can go after a player, but they're also long term. I know, but you think about the future of Chelsea. It could be Cucurella, it could be Chilwell, it could be Reece James, Fofana. You know, there's a young back line that could be there for the next 6, 7 or 8 years. Fofana's a great signing. We know that he's good. But Koulibaly, he's not young, so he might in and out. Same with Thiago, in and out. So you've got to nurture them. So they'll rotate. They've got a lot of games. Like Chilwell, he's coming back from injury. Reece James always picks up injuries as well. So I think that will just chop and change in how they move with a 4 and a 5 as well.
It's been a bit of a stuttering start for Chelsea to this start of this campaign, Sam. Is there any pressure on Tuchel, do you think?
I guess at Chelsea there's always pressure, isn't there? And normally it's come from within the dressing room. I haven't really detected anything. I don't get the feeling that there is, you know, like just reading articles or seeing on Twitter. I've not really heard any murmurings of that. But at Chelsea, you never know. But then again, it's new ownership, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it depends. Is the new guy want to say, we've spent this money, we need you to be doing better, possibly. But for now, I don't detect it. But if they don't beat West Ham, it might start, because they've not had great results, have they? They have been very up and down.
Yeah, and because they are the biggest spenders in this window. In fact, no Premier League team has ever spent more money than Chelsea have in this window in Premier League history. So that piles on a bit of pressure and expectation as well, doesn't it?
It does, but I think they've been so turbulent with obviously what's been ongoing the last 12 months. I think it would be really unfair to put him under pressure. Spent a lot, but you've got to give players time and the manager to embed them into his squad.